AITA for ordering pizza at my friend's wedding. Because there was no food. Me and my wife were invited to my friend's wedding. The wedding was going to have about 70 ppl, with mostly family. When we got there, we were seated at a table with some other people. Nice people. And we mingled well and had a good time chatting. The wedding was also quite nice. Both my friend and his new wife were very happy. After the ceremony, every table got 2 bottles of wine, bread butter, and there also was an open bar, so we started to have a few drinks. Then the food came out. It looked really good. The food was set up for buffet. I was half buzzed and looking forward to getting some food in my belly. When it was time to eat, every few tables at a time were going to get called, which is fine. The first few tables that were called were understandably the family of both sides. Then the rest were. The problem was that the family members, his in-laws, are larger people. Now I don't shame people for how much they eat, but I noticed the helpings of food they had while I was patiently waiting for us to be called. I also noticed that they went for seconds before all the tables were called, and no one stopped them. I didn't say anything, though I thought that was rude. I just assumed that there was just a lot of food. To my surprise, by the time we were called, there was nothing left. I asked if there was more coming out, and apparently, that already occurred. So we grabbed the little we could, and went back to sit down and ate the scarps. We were all still pretty hungry, and a bit pissed off, so we kinda talked that the first few tables ate all the food. Someone mentioned that they could go for some pizza, and then I had the drunken idea of ordering some LOL. So that is what we did. We all pitched in and ordered 4 large pizzas and some chicken wings from a local pizza joint close to the venue, so it didn't take long to be delivered. I met the guy outside and brought the food to our table, and we started to eat. Some of the other tables noticed and asked where the pizza came from. Apparently, some of the other tables close to ours didn't get any food either, so we shared with them. This caused some commotion because other people were looking for and asking the wedding party if there was pizza available. I guess there were others that didn't get to eat either. We did share with anyone who asked us. My friend came to talk to me about why I ordered the food. His bride was not happy about it. It ruined the aesthetics. So I told him that we didn't get to eat, and that the food ran out long before our table was called, and we were really hungry. He then asked why we didn't just step out and eat, then come back. Though annoyed about that, I respectively explained to him that we were all drinking on an empty stomach, and that it probably wasn't the best idea to have drunk people walking around looking for food. I don't think he liked that, but went back to his bride who was glaring at us, like what were we supposed to do, starve? This wasn't the end though. As we were finishing eating, one of the in-laws came to our table, and he asked where the pizza came from. This is where maybe the AH. There were 2 slices left. I knew he was eyeing them. I asked the other people at my table if they wanted one. Everyone declined. This guy then said he'd have one. I then took the 2 slices, I put them on my plate, and started to eat them. Then looked at him and said something like, "No, you and everyone at your tables had way more than your fair share of the buffet, and ate all of it. This is the reason we ordered food in the first place, and now you have the nerve to ask us to share." His face went red, and he returned to his table. There was a lot discussion going on there. They were all looking back at us with daggers. The bride looked even more ticked off at us. She had a bit of an argument with my friend. He eventually came back to tell us we had to leave. I didn't mean to start any problems, so me and my wife called a cab and left. He called me a few days later, and we had a long talk. I explained my perspective, and he agreed that his in-laws were really rude for eating all the food and leaving most of the other guests with very little. A lot of people actually complained to him about it. Everyone was drinking thinking that there would be food, and they were disappointed. He was upset with his in-laws because he told them how many guests there would be and to order the food for that many people. He also saw how much they were taking but assumed they ordered enough. He was wrong. He brought this up with his wife, and she said that apparently because the in-laws paid for the alcohol and the food they felt entitled to eat what they wanted, she was really mad at them and reamed them out for tainting her special day. He also said a lot of the other non-family guests started to leave soon after we left because they too were hungry. They still had fun celebrating, but it did kind of put a downer on their special day. Out of 70 ppl, about 30 left. I also found out that guy that came to our table was his FIL. FIL was really embarrassed by what I said to him. He felt pretty bad when he found out close to half the guests didn't get to eat anything and left early. So AITA, Update 1. My friend just stopped by for a little bit. Apparently his wife was more upset than he initially said, but not at me, towards her family. He also said she wanted apologies for booting me, so Effiel feels really bad, and he is going to step up and try to fix the situation. He's going to throw an after-wedding shindig, LOL his words. Everyone who was at the wedding will be invited, including me, my wife, and some additional people. They are thinking there will be about 100 guests. FIL also promised that there will be an assortment of food, more than enough for everyone, plus an army LOL. He also wanted to personally let me know that there will be 50 large pizzas from the same joint I ordered from. That is his way of adding some humor to the situation. I think it's pretty funny LOL. He's also going to hire a DJ or a live band, possibly have some fireworks and arrange other events like axe throwing and a bonfire. This actually sounds like it going to a real fun time. The only difference is that this will be a BYOB event, which biz no big deal. Effiel is pulling in a favor from a friend of his who owns a farm. The farm has 2 guest houses and the main house, as well as plenty of space outside. About 50 people can be squeezed in between the 3 houses, so he is going to encourage people to bring RVs, I have one, campers and tents if they can. Nothing is officially yet, but they are looking to hold the shindig around mid-August. Update 2. After the wedding fiasco, we got the invites from my friends FIL to the after-wedding shindig. It took a while, so I honestly thought it was a joke at first, but my friend, the groom, who dropped them off, said it's happening. Just took a while to organize it. The invites mentioned food, drinks, activities, and a lot of pizza. I wasn't sure what to expect, but my wife and I decided to go. It was in mid-September, and the weather was absolutely perfect with clear skies, warm sun, and a bit breezy. When we arrived, we saw the setup and was blown away. The event was on this massive farm owned by the friend of the FIL. There were RVs, campers, and tents scattered everywhere. It looked like some kind of mini music festival. The main house and 2 guest houses were open for people who didn't want to camp, and the yard was filled with picnic tables, lawn games, and a huge bonfire pit. As soon as we parked, the FIL greeted us. He was wearing this ridiculously loud Hawaiian shirt and sunglasses, grinning like he'd won the lottery LOL. He shook my hand and said, "I'm glad you're here. There's plenty of food this time." I couldn't help but laugh LOL. The food setup was insane. There were long tables covered with BBQ, all kinds of sides, desserts, and front and center a pyramid of pizza boxes LOL. I'm not kidding. It had to be at least 50 large pizzas from the same place I ordered from at the wedding. Each box had a sticker that said Shindig Special on it. Everyone was already joking about it. People started showing up in droves. A lot of people brought their own coolers full of beer since it was BYOB, and others even joined in the pizza theme. LOL, someone even wore a pizza print dress. Another guy had a pizza-shaped hat, and there were pizza cookies on one of the dessert tables. It was hilarious. The vibe was lighthearted and fun, and honestly, it was way better atmosphere than at the wedding. There was so much going on. The axe throwing, cornhole, live music, and even some fireworks set up for later. The FIL was wandering around, handing out slices of pizza like it was his personal mission to make sure no one went hungry. My friend, the groom, found me and pulled me aside. He had a beer in one hand and slapped me on the back with the other. He thanked me and told me, if I hadn't ordered that pizza, we'd probably wouldn't be here right now. As the day went on, everyone seemed to be having a blast. The bride even gave a little speech. She thanked everyone for coming, then pointed at me and said, "And a special thanks to the guy who turned a wedding mishap into a shindig we'll never forget." People laughed and clapped, and I felt a bit embarrassed, but also kinda proud. The night ended with the lots of fireworks and everyone gathering around the bonfire, roasting marshmallows and sausages. People were drinking, singing, and telling stories. It felt like a proper celebration, and I couldn't help but think this is how the wedding should have been. FEL came up to me near the end of the night with a slice of pizza on a plate. He said he wasn't sure how to make up for the mess they made at the wedding, but thought this did the trick. I shook his and smiled, and said this party was a hit. All in all, the shindig turned out to be one of the most memorable events I've ever been to. Everyone left full, happy, and with plenty of stories to tell. It's funny how a simple thing like ordering pizza at the wedding turned into something this big, But hey, I guess that's just how life goes sometimes.